this evening, and welcome to a Ohio State Hoops continues to tread water edition of the OHIO podcast. Do us a big favor and smash that like button. It absolutely helps the channel as well as making sure you are subscribed. Hey, you say, Boggs, I'm already subscribed. That's great. Make sure you're subscribed. Shoot, subscribe from a different account. Maybe you got two of them. That will help us out as well as making a comment down in the comment section below. We are the official Ohio State podcast of Scarlet and Game and Fansided. You don't like the way my face looks? Neither does my ex-wife. You can listen to the podcast wherever you download podcasts or over at scarletandgame.com. We're also the official Ohio State podcast of thecollegehuddle.com, where you can find ourselves and 75 other of our closest friends from coast to coast covering their favorite colleges as well. Well, guys, the Buckeyes went 1-1 since the last time we convened together. They ended up going out to Lincoln, Nebraska, and dropping one before coming home and smashing the Huskies the other night. And next up, it's the big one. It's the number one team in the Big Ten right now. That's right. That team up north is number one right now in the Big Ten. And we've got a special guest to talk about that. JR from the Big Ten Huddle will be coming on to help us preview Ohio State versus the Maize and Blue. But first, let's talk about the week that was for Ohio State on the hardwood. Let's first go out to Lincoln, Nebraska, where this past Sunday the Buckeyes dropped a hard-fought 79-71 game to the Cornhuskers. By the way, Nebraska is 17-8 on the season. Ohio State is now 14-11 as of that game. Of course, Ohio State won against Washington since then. But in that game, Nebraska was trailing 39-34 at halftime. The Buckeyes had a 5-point lead at halftime, and then the second half we got cold shooting the basketball, and Nebraska heated up and outscored us in the second half by 13, 45-32. Nebraska ended up shooting over 50% on the game from the field. And 33% from three-point range, while Ohio State was 42% from the field, 40% from three-point range. But the big one, again, free throws. Nebraska was 18 of 21 from the free throw line. Ohio State was only 9 of 15. So Ohio State didn't get there enough, number one, and they didn't make enough, number two. Shot only 60% from the line, while Nebraska was 85.7%. and outscored us from the free throw line by 9 points. And guys, that's the difference in this basketball game. When you lose by 8 and they outscored you by 9 on the free throw line, that's a big one. The other one, circle it, total rebounds. The Buckeyes were out-rebounded 28-37 on the boards. And that's just not good enough. You just can't do those things and win and on the road in the Big Ten, especially on the road in the Big Ten. Leading the team in points was Micah Parrish, who had a career-high 30. He also played 35 minutes. John Mobley Jr. scored 21. That's right. That was 51 of their 71 points from those two players. Bruce Thornton was cold. He only had 9 points. And then Devin Royal left the game. He only played 15 minutes, only scored 2 points. And so your second leading scorer, third leading scorer on the team with only 2 points, that hurts you. Your leading scorer with only 9, that hurts you. And you kind of squander a great game by Micah Parrish, man. Just let that one go. Sean Stewart ended up playing 21 points at the 5. He scored only 3 points. And Aaron Bradshaw, 1 point, 14 minutes. Just no presence in the post, and that was the difference in this basketball game as the Cornhuskers ended up winning by 9. Now, let's go and fast forward to the second game of the week, and that was the big one the other night as Ohio State came back to take on the Washington Huskies and won 93-69. So a huge 24-point win for the Buckeyes. They outscored the Huskies 51-36 in the first half, and it was just more of the same in the second half, 42 to 33 for the big win for Ohio State. The Buckeyes, man, they were hot from the field. They shot 58% from the field and were 61% from the 3-point line. 11 of 18, and gosh dang it, they shot their free throws well. They were 18 of 22 from the free throw line, 81.8%. They do that against Nebraska and they win that game too, but unfortunately they didn't. Total rebounds, they out rebounded the Huskies 34-22, so they cleaned up on the glass as well. It makes a difference when you have your bigs back for the game, obviously. Leading the team in scoring with 21 points, well, again, was Micah Parrish as well as John Mobley Jr. So for 2 games in a row, those guys led the team in scoring. But it was nice to have Bruce Thornton back in double digits. He finished with 17. Devin Royal ended up playing 26 minutes and had 8 points, so that was an improvement. Sean Stewart, 20 minutes, 6 points. That was also an improvement. And Aaron Bradshaw, 17 minutes, 12 points. Huge improvement there. Aaron Bradshaw even made a 3-pointer, by the way. Off the bench, Evan Mahaffey scored 4. Quez Glover scored 2. And Ivan scored 2. And I don't even try to pronounce his last name because I will butcher it so bad. So, yeah. Ohio State, in my opinion, guys, if you just kind of look at what they do and where they struggle, it's all about the bigs, man. If this basketball team can ever figure out how to get more consistent, better post play from Bradshaw and from Stewart and from Royal, this basketball team is going to make they're just a completely different basketball team because their guard play is absolutely fantastic. This might be the best guard play I've seen from Ohio State basketball team in a long time. A long time. They're that good. Um, we just have no presence in the paint. And so if we can't knock down shots consistently or at least give ourselves more second chance opportunities um, because of our bigs, then a team that a team that can keep pace with us and defend the outside a little better then dominates us on the inside, we have no shot. We have no shot. So we need to get better post play. We need to get more physical. We're one big dude away from this basketball team being a Sweet 16 basketball team. I kid you not. The guard play is good enough to be a Sweet 16 basketball team. The post play is not even an NCAA team. That's the difference. That doesn't mean Bradshaw and Stewart can't develop into that. They're just not there right now. And Devin Royal's not supposed to even be a starter on this basketball team. He's supposed to be the first guy off the bench at the 4. Okay? That's who Devin Royal's supposed to be. But he's been forced into trying to be and trying to elevate his game to being the top 3 guy in this basketball team. And you're starting to see he's starting to crack a little bit. It's not, he's dealing with some injuries, he's dealing with some physical things, and that has to be accounted for because when you're not expected to be that guy from jump, it but then you have to be. You can start to slow down by the end of the season. It can wear on you a little bit. So I think that's kind of where Devin Royal is. I feel like he might be running out of gas a little bit. Remember, he didn't play hardly at all when Chris Holtmann was coach. He didn't really get a chance to play until Diebler took over after Holtmann got fired. And then all of a sudden, Devin Royal was playing, and we're like, this guy's pretty good. And then we're like, you know what? He's going to be a good bench player next year. Oh, no, we've got to have him play right away now. What? Okay. So that's where we're at with him right now, guys. So that's just kind of where I kind of look at where things are going with this basketball team. All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, I'll be joined by JR, and we will dive into where he thinks this basketball team is at and previewing the big game for this weekend. So hang tight, everybody. We will be right back after a word from our sponsors.
Hey, Buckeye Nation. The OHIO podcast is thrilled to partner with Export Mouthguards, the innovators redefining protection in contact sports. Introducing the Ninja Pro Mouthguard, the strongest and most advanced mouthguard on the market. Engineered by dental experts, it's designed to deliver elite protection with a sleek, low-profile fit. Made with carbon fiber and multi-layer construction, it's impact tested to keep you safe from even the hardest hits. But that's not all. The Ninja Pro is 3D printed for 100% custom fit, offering unbeatable comfort and security for any athlete. From football to MMA, dominate your game with confidence while safeguarding your teeth and jaw. Getting started is easy. Use our home impression kit to create your custom fit and enjoy prepaid shipping. It's protection delivered right to your door. Plus, with a 1-year warranty and 100% satisfaction guarantee, and proudly made in the USA, the Ninja Pro is your ultimate defense on the field or in the ring. And here's the best part. When you visit exportguards.com, use promo code OHIO at checkout to get 20% off your purchase. That's right, 20% off elite protection made just for you. Protect your game, protect your future. Choose Export Ninja Pro Mouthguards, where innovation meets protection. Head to exportguards.com and use promo code OHIO today.
And we are now joined by JR himself. He is the man with the plan and the only guy I know to go to about Ohio State basketball and Big Ten basketball who I trust. JR, good evening.
Good evening. I'm so glad to know that you trust me, and I will do my best to make sure I don't screw it up.
Of course. JR, I said at the beginning of this podcast that the men's basketball team is treading water. Is that a fair statement?
That they're trending upward?
No, that they're treading water.
Oh, that they're treading water. If this team was completely healthy, I think I'd be there with you. But it's really, really troublesome when you got as many issues right now as this team seems to have. You know, Devin Royal played last game, but I don't think he was 100%. Aaron Bradshaw has been dealing with injuries all year long, and so that's kind of limiting him. And Michi Johnson, whatever is going on with him, I don't anticipate he'll be back anymore this year. I don't think so. We'll have to see. But, I mean, with the state of the team right now, I do give him some grace. But ultimately, it is one of those situations where Jake Diebler's doing better than Chris Holtman has been doing the past 2 or 3 years, right?
Yeah,
we're like, okay, we like that.
Treading water is better than drowning.
That's what I was gonna say. We like that we're kind of probably gonna make the tournament, but at the same time, it's also like we'd like to, be a team people fear and not just one that they can be like, oh yeah, that home court stinks. We should be able to win there.
Yeah. So, I said that this team is one really good post player away from being a Sweet 16 basketball team. If we had a dominant post player, I think we're in Sweet 16. Like I said, my statement was this is a Sweet 16 guard play, and we have a not even making the tournament post play.
Yeah. No, it's exactly right. I mean, right now you have Sean Stewart doing his best to do his best 5-man impression, but
he's out of position.
Right, he's a 4, but he's out there. He's doing his best. You can't knock this team for effort. This team is going out there game in and game out, battling as much as they possibly can. Sean Stewart, I know people give him a lot of grief, but like you said, he's out of position. He's given as much effort as he possibly can out there. It's just sometimes that effort turns into a foul, which sometimes is unlucky and sometimes is warranted. But at the end of the day, this backcourt we have right now between Micah Parrish, Junie Mobley Jr., Bruce Thornton, even Quez Glover to a certain extent. I know he's not been very good on offense lately, but boy, does he do a lot for you on defense with his ability to get around screens and what he's able to do with tracking players around the court too. There is some stuff this team does that kind of goes unnoticed, but it's impressive at times.
No, I agree. I said my statement was at the beginning of this month that this team had to go 4-4, but I thought there was a path for them to go 5-3. Now that we are, what are we? 3 games into this month already, or 4 already?
I think
We're
3.
4.
Oh, we are
We're
through 4?
4. Yeah, lost to Illinois,
Oh, that's right.
beat Maryland, lost to Nebraska, beat Washington. So 4 games left this month. Michigan, Northwestern, UCLA, USC. They have to go 2-2, right?
Yeah,
I mean, I guess they don't have to, but you would like
yeah.
for them to.
I think if from where you were talking about before, I think if they went 4-4 from where you were talking at before, they definitely, are in the tournament. I think there was a path for them to go 3-5 if you lose to the right teams, but you beat the right teams. That's kind of the thing that Ohio State can hang their hat on the most right now is
Yeah.
that they don't have a bad loss. That Indiana loss is probably your worst one, but Indiana just beat Michigan State. So like they're not good numbers wise, but they do have some wins that kind of makes them look a little bit better. So if your worst loss is the team that just knocked the team out of contention for the most part, that was the number one team in the Big Ten for pretty much most of the year, I think that's a pretty good place to be at in terms of strength of schedule.
No, it is. And the Big Ten is very heavy in the middle. Um, I don't know. Like, we're about to see the number one team in the Big Ten this Sunday. We're going to talk about them in a second, but I don't see a team in the Big Ten that's going to win in the NCAA tournament. Tell me, am I wrong?
I mean, I think if Purdue was at full strength the entire time, they have a chance. But that's the thing. Other teams are too smart. They're going to get Braden Smith and Trey Coffin-Wren in foul trouble. And then once they get in foul trouble, then you're going to see like what happened in that Michigan game where Purdue fans are just crying about the refs and they're all upset because, their best players are out of the game. Illinois, they have the talent. They have the draft picks. Like they have the NBA players. They haven't put it together pretty much all season long. I mean, maybe there for stretches. They did have a really good win this last game. Who did they play this last game? UCLA at home. That was a really good win for them. But at the
Hmm.
same time, that's something you need to see not just for one game,
Yeah,
but
they're
more
not
often.
consistent enough.
Exactly. And then the other one that is probably up there, I know most people don't like it because of their coach, and I think he's probably what's holding them back the most. It's Maryland with Kevin Willard. I mean, Derek Queen and Julian Reese are the best two-man front court in the Big Ten. I know we're going to talk about a team in a minute who has a very good front court, but you're talking about true guys in the front court and what they can do. They're the best, and their guard play is actually really good, much better than I thought it would be going into the year. Their problem is they have Kevin Willard as their head coach, and they don't have a bench. So,
Yeah. All right. So you mentioned the team that we're about to talk about. Let's talk about them, man. Even though I don't really want to, I guess we're gonna have to. Um, this is a huge game for Ohio State. If they can win this game, this is a huge victory for them. It's another Big Ten top 5 team you knocked off. You've already knocked off Purdue at home, or no, on the road. You knocked off Maryland at home. Excuse me. Now you get this team at home. You got UCLA coming up, um, which is the last opportunity other than the Big Ten tournament to really take down a big dog here and impress the committee. This is a big win for Ohio State, and I not that you're win and you're in because you still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games left in the regular season, and you can't
mm-hmm.
lose all of them and expect to get in.
Right.
But this feels like if you win this one and then you do what we expect you to do the rest of the way, you're in.
Mm-hmm.
And not only are you in, but you're probably in definitively. This is a big game, but this is not going to be an easy game. I expect, and Tim told me last week, he expected the shot to actually reach the potential we all want it to have this Sunday. It'll be a rocking house,
Yeah.
um, which is what we want, right? We want a home court advantage, finally. We're going to get it this Sunday, but we're also going to get what is statistically the best team in the Big Ten, or is this fool's gold?
I mean, My biggest thing is that Ohio State doesn't have the front court, but then Ohio State beat Maryland at home, and I think Maryland has the best front court in the Big Ten. So, like, I don't think they can win, but they might. Like, I didn't think they could beat Maryland, but they did. So they always have a chance. This is college basketball, right? It's crazy, and if Michigan doesn't take care of guarding the 3-point arc, we saw what happened against Washington. Ohio State, I said
bombs away, baby.
Right. Ohio State, I said 60%. At the beginning of the year, and I think I said it on this show with you, I said Ohio State has the capability to beat anybody in this conference. They also have the capability to lose to anybody in this conference with the way their 3-point shooting is. So if Ohio State can build off that 3-point shooting they had against Washington, they can beat Michigan, right? They can do enough to stay in that game and win it close at the end. If they don't shoot that way, though, I fail to see a path to do so because you're just not going to win the points in the paint battle. You're going to be shooting too many jumpers, and at the end of the day, Michigan is going to try to get out and run. That's one thing that Ohio State does really, really well is they defend the fast break incredibly well to where teams are only scoring, I think it's like 5 points on the fast break per game, which is incredible. Ohio State's one of the worst fast break scoring teams in the country, and they score over 5. So if you're holding teams to 5, that's pretty daggone good.
Yeah. No, that's a good stat. That's a good nugget. So tell us about Michigan. What did they do well? What are they going to bring into the shot this Sunday that we're going to need to be aware of, other than they want to get up and run? By the way, Roddy Gayle Jr. left Ohio State. He would have been a star on this basketball team if he'd have stayed. He's like 5th on their team in scoring, isn't he?
Yeah, he's not had a great offensive out in the past few games.
Oh, shucks.
Last one was pretty good.
Too bad. It's too bad.
Last game was pretty good for him because he was doing a lot of hustle stuff. But at the end of the day, he's not one of those guys you're just going to give the ball to and he goes and gets a basket for you. His 3-point shooting has dropped off this year. I mean, quite frankly, what's going on around him is that he has a whole bunch of other more skilled offensive players that are able to do stuff. So he's really the kind of glue hustle guy who will do anything for you. Problem is sometimes he lets you down. And I think it was 2 or 3 games ago, Dusty May pretty much benched him the entire second half because he wasn't doing anything but hustle, and that was it. He didn't have anything else he could do for you. So no, this Michigan team does do a number of things very well, right? Like they have very good rebounding. They have 2 7-footers. Danny Wolf and Vlad Golden are very difficult to guard, especially when they get into their pick and roll action. So that's difficult to deal with. Trey Donaldson has been a pretty good shooter this year. So if you sleep on him and try to go guard Danny Wolf too much, then he can find him. Really, what you want to do though is anytime Danny Wolf has the ball, you want to try to bait him into risky passes because he will take the risky passes a lot. He will go after the cross court pass that has 2 guys in the way because he thinks he can make the pass. Unfortunately for him, he can't always make the pass, or he throws the ball too high, it goes out of bounds, or he throws it too low and it gets stolen. You've seen it a number of times this year. I've said it before. How in the world Michigan is the highest turnovers per game team, or no, it's turnover rate. They have the highest turnover rate of any Power 4 team, Power 5 team, include the Big East, of any Power 5 team, and they're first place in the Big Ten. How in the world that happens is absolutely crazy, but they're able to get the other team to foul, which isn't good for Sean Stewart, and they're able to get mismatches a lot, which is difficult to deal with. Really, their kryptonite this year has been a 4-man who can step out and shoot, because then you don't have Danny Wolf being able to be in the middle. You don't have Vlad Golden being able to roam the middle with Danny Wolf, and that bucket gets open more. Remember against Illinois when Devin Royal hit, 3 or 4 threes in the first half? We're going to need that version of Devin Royal in this game. We're going to need Devin Royal who can be a threat from behind the arc, so Danny Wolf is going to have to get out there and guard him, and we're going to need Sean Stewart to be the rebounder that he is. Sean Stewart doesn't play a whole lot because he fouls too much, so he looks like somebody that doesn't get a whole lot of rebounds when you look at the box scores and stuff. But the fact is, if you look at CBB Analytics, which I have a subscription to, use code Huddle for $30 off CBB Analytics. That's my shameless plug. Okay?
Nice plug, buddy.
There you go. That's my shameless plug right there. But if you look there, Sean Stewart has one of the highest defensive rebounding rates of anybody in the Big Ten. He unfortunately just doesn't get all that many rebounds because he fouls too much, and Jake Diebler has to take him out of the game.
Yeah. So mark it down. This is a big Devin Royal game, JR says, so that's one of the keys to this game. All right. I want you to be Jake Diebler for me now for a second. Um, how are you going to take this roster and how are you going to attack Michigan offensively?
Offensively, I am going to be using the perimeter as much as I possibly can. I'm having one guy in the post at most, and I'm having Micah Parrish, Bruce Thornton, Junie Mobley, all those guys, Devin Roll. I'm having them roam the perimeter as much as I possibly can. When I'm going to my pick and roll sets, I'm not looking to hit the roller most of the time. I'm looking to hit a shooter because Michigan will get off the perimeter and try to fall down and help in the pick and roll. They don't need to. Vlad Golden's a really good defender, but for whatever reason, they still do. So you look out and you find those perimeter shots, you pump fake, you get fouls, and if you can get into the paint and get Danny Wolf or Vlad Golden to foul you. It can happen. They don't foul too much. They don't foul too often, especially Danny Wolf. You can get him to foul you, though, and you can get them in trouble, especially on their offensive end if Danny Wolf isn't in the game.
So one of the things I noticed, the reasons why I feel like we lost, and this is a kind of a simplistic statistic to look at, but it's true. We didn't get to the free throw line enough when we were in Lincoln. We didn't make enough free throws when we were in Lincoln. If we do to them what we did against Washington, and we make 80% of our free throws or 85% of the free throws like we did against Washington, and get to the line like we did, we beat Nebraska easily. That was to me one of the most. We just couldn't make free throws. So this is a game where if you get to the line, you need to get to the line, and when you get there, you have to make free throws. It's something this team absolutely has to do if you're going to take down a team like this. All right, now you're Jake Diebler, and we're looking at this thing defensively. What are you going to do? One of the things that Diebler's starting to go to a little bit more. He's starting to mix in a little bit more zone defensively here the last few games too.
Yeah, I don't know about zone in this one. Danny Wolf is too good of a shooter, and Trey Donaldson is out there as well. I do think you can get away with it with Roddy Gayle. He's not the best shooter in the world. Wasn't really the best shooter at Ohio State either, and I think his numbers are actually worse this year than they were when he was at Ohio State. I don't know if they're not setting him up well or what, but anyway, I don't know if you go to a zone just because of those threats. However, I would mix it in every now and then just to give them a different look. Honestly, though, when it comes to down low, I'm throwing bodies in there as much as I possibly can, and I'm hitting Vlad Golden, right? I'm going down there, and I'm punishing him every single time he gets into the paint. I'm throwing Joven. I'm throwing Austin Parks if you have him. I know he's been out for a little while, but if he's back, I'm throwing him down there. I'm throwing Sean Stewart. Like, at this point, my big men, more than anything, are just foul machines and rebounders because they're not
goons.
Really,
Go be a goon.
Exactly. They're not really going to help you offensively that much. Anything you get offensively from your goons, as you like to call them, is just gravy for me. But for the most part, if you can try to punish Vlad Golden down low, that's going to be huge. And by the way, Eric, we also have to talk about this. I don't know if you have this in your notes, but how soft and how whiny and how much of a flopper Vlad Golden is. My word, have you watched Michigan basketball enough this year to see how much of a flopper he is?
Yeah. Well, I haven't. I would. Yes, I have. But to me, the NBA diva-ish of the NBA is starting to get into college a little bit, and I don't like it.
Yeah.
Now, thankfully, we don't really have any floppers on our team.
You don't have many in the Big Ten. That's the thing. Like the Big Ten has been the tough conference, right? Really, the only two well-known floppers you have are Vlad Golden and Fletcher
SEC
Loyer for
is
Purdue.
awful.
The SEC, they're a bunch of babies over there, man.
Oh, it is bad.
You touch a guy, it's like he's got shot. Like.
Yes. Yeah, it's almost like they're like looking for the refs to pull out yellow and red cards. I'm like, well, come on, get up off the floor and play. I do like how that, and I don't know if this is a Diebler thing, but because it seemed like it was pretty bad when Chris Holtman was coach, that there was a lot of whining with the refs on Ohio State, and I didn't like that. And you don't see it as much, and I think it's because Jake is just old school, man. He's just an old school coach, and he's like, shut up and play, dude. Like,
Well, and I think Jake Diebler's more confident in himself. Players get that typically from their coach more than anything else, right? They will typically take on the persona of the coach when it comes to the refs. Last game, I don't know if you saw it, but kind of in the very corner, I think it was the 8 or 9 minutes left in the game. Ohio State was winning, but somebody was shooting a free throw. And you look up there in the corner, and Jake Diebler literally is over there with the ref talking to him. And as the free throw is being shot, he's shaking the hand of the ref over there. You know, like he's just talking to him like normal. And now, occasionally, he will go after him and really let him know if something is egregious, as any coach should. You know, you got to stand up for your guys. But for the most part, Jake Diebler, he's reasoning with those guys. He's talking to them, but he's not talking like Tom Izzo. He's not talking like Dan Hurley or something like that, right, where he's losing his voice every single game. He's just talking to him. He's letting them know, hey, you know that guy's flopping every single time, right? Hey, you know that guy, he's pushing my guy in the back every single time. Like, we got to be on the watch for that, you know? And I think there is something to just like solid speaking to a ref as if they're a human being and not just a piece of meat like Dan Hurley and Tom Izzo do.
Yeah. Can I ask you a few Big Ten questions?
Sure.
Who's the next Indiana basketball coach?
Well, if they want to do it the right way, it's either Dusty May or Chris Beard. If they want to do it the wrong way, they're going to go after one of their assistants like Dan Fife or go after somebody who's at a smaller school and give them the reins. So I tend to believe that Indiana knows they need to make a good hire with somebody who's doing well right now in the Power Four. And I think that with how competitive the SEC was this year, there's going to be coaches that are going to want to get out of the SEC and try to spread their wings elsewhere and do something else. So I tend to believe they'll probably get one of those coaches from the SEC. Chris Beard is my biggest lean right now, but I'm also not counting out Dusty May. Did you see the going home journey special that the Big Ten Network did with Dusty May?
I didn't, but the reason why I asked the question was because Dusty May's coming in the shot this Sunday, and I saw where he was on the short list to be Indiana's next basketball coach. And I thought to myself, that's intriguing.
Yeah, and he was at Assembly Hall, 2 games ago, I think, because they played Indiana and then they played Purdue. It's pretty interesting, that whole storyline there. And even you go check the Big Ten Huddle Twitter account. I tweeted this out, but there was a video of Dusty May answering, and I think Michigan fans are trying to find the silver lining in his answer, but it was not a very I'm with Michigan forever and I'm never going to leave them type of answer. It was very much so like, we're not worried about that. I'm Michigan's head coach and I'm focusing on this season. And it was like, well, Dusty, sounds like you're focusing on this season, but it sounds like you're not too focused on the future. What's the idea there?
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
What would his buyout be by chance? Is it pretty high?
I don't know. I don't know what that is.
Because this is only his first year at Michigan. I don't know his contract off the top of my head, and that would intrigue me.
His buyout would be says if Dusty May decided to leave Michigan after the 2024-2025 season, his buyout would be $5 million plus a $1,500,000 signing bonus.
That's not terrible.
It's not terrible.
No, that's doable.
If he was in his second contract, I think it would be worse. But
yeah,
considering Michigan just hired him and they didn't want to take too big of a chance on him, that's doable if Indiana wanted to do it.
Yeah, I think so, actually. I think that actually is doable. Very, very, very interesting. All right, in closing here, JR, what is your prediction for this Sunday in this game, man? Lay it on me, man.
Well, my brain says probably Michigan wins, but my heart says they just won that game against Maryland. And we saw what this team was like at the end of last year with the tournament hopes on the line, right? Mm-hmm. This team battled until the very end. Players stepped up who played above their skis the way they did all season long. Aaron Bradshaw just had a good game. I think he had 12 points, hit a couple three-pointers against Washington. So I don't know, man. Like, all the reasoning in me says Michigan's probably going to win, but my heart and my aspect of like Jake Diebler isn't going to go down, just lightly, says they're going to win this one. And I'll tell you the other thing that I saw. Jeannie Mobley and Aaron Bradshaw, two new guys, right? Two new guys to the team. One of them's a freshman, so he's at least been recruited. But Aaron Bradshaw came in as a transfer. He was at Kentucky. Those two guys were in the press conference after the game. And I think it was Adam Jardy or somebody like that asked the question, you got Michigan come in here next week or next game. Like, what are you guys going to be ready for that one? And Jeannie Mobley just answered, been ready all season. They're coming. We're going to be here, or something like that. It was some kind of answer like that. I don't remember it word for word. And I was just like, I like hearing that from my freshman, right? Roddy Gayle left, and he was like, I don't even know why we hate him. It's like, okay, buddy, well, it's a good thing you're gone now. Jeannie Mobley, he's dialed in. He's ready to go.
He's a Central Ohio kid, dude.
He knows.
Yeah, he knows. He knows.
So.
If we win this game, we storm the court.
I don't think Michigan's high enough ranked for that.
It doesn't matter though, right?
Yeah, they probably would.
All right, if Michigan wins, will they plant a flag at the center of the court?
What are they gonna do? Get like a suction cup or something to plant it?
just.
No, I think.
No, I want them
Dusty
to. If
May,
that were to happen, because I want to see another fight.
I think Dusty May has too much self-respect. Here's the thing. I obviously I cannot stand Michigan, but I kind of like Dusty May, and Dusty May's got some respect to himself and respect to his team.
You
his
secretly want
like
Dusty May to go to Bloomington, don't you?
Oh, dude, no, I kid you not. Every single time it comes up in my in-laws like text thread that I'm with them on or whatever, I'm like, please hire Dusty May. I want him in Indiana more than anything else because I think he'd be good at Indiana, number one, and number two, I think he's a good coach, and I don't want him up there. up north. And also too, he doesn't fit up there up north. He's not a sleazebag. He's not somebody that, is like making up conspiracies and just like, putting anything out there and like, touting the media and everything. So he's too good of a guy to be up there up north. We gotta get him somewhere else.
If they plant the flag, I want to see a fight.
What player throws the first punch though? We had Jack Sawyer go after him first.
Yeah, who's the player off the team?
I think Bruce Thornton's too even keeled.
Yeah,
I think you need somebody.
Quez Glover. Quez Glover will come in like he'll come in, drop kick him is what he'll do. He's just off screen, coming across the screen, legs up.
And Sean Stewart would be right there with him too. Man, he gets mad during games.
Yeah,
Sean Stewart gets so angry. I love it.
I can't believe we went down this, but here we are.
That's what we do.
It's hate week again, all over again. Yeah, we still have that. I would love nothing more than the basketball team to just somehow blow them out. Like that would be fantastic. And at the end of the game, we're just talking all kinds of trash, man.
Let me say this one last thing.
Yeah.
If Michigan does get up to like a 20-point lead or something like that, don't turn the TV off, okay? Because they have been up on like 20, 15 points on teams all season long, and they've given those leads up. In the Arkansas game, they were down by like 12. They came back, went up by like 15, and then let Arkansas come back and beat them. So this is a team that for whatever reason just goes through terrible stretches and really, really good stretches. So if that happens, say, it's the end of the first half and Michigan's up by 16 or something like that, don't turn the channel off. At least watch for the next 5 or 10 minutes of the second half because you never know. This team will give in a little bit and let the other team come back.
Interesting. All right, guys. JR, tell everybody where they can find the Big Ten Huddle.
The Big Ten Huddle is on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, all those good places. Twitter, I'm not tweeting as much right now. I'm just super busy with work and stuff like that, so I'm not tweeting as much. But Zach is going to be back on Sunday, and we're going to have a show. Then we have a basketball show every Monday morning. Me and Kit, power rankings for the Big Ten. And then Tuesday night, there's another football show. And then whenever there's not a show, I'm always putting out videos and stuff like that. Stuff for the Big Ten. And there's always at least a little bit of an Ohio State lean. So, in fact, I'm going to do a coordinator video where I give you the 5 best and the 5 worst coordinator hires in the Big Ten. And, well, I won't spoil it. You'll just have to watch and see where Matt Patricia is.
That, folks, is what they call a tease in the biz. JR, everybody, thanks for coming in. JR, appreciate you, man. Go check out his channel on the Big Ten Huddle.
Thanks.
Enjoy the game Sunday, JR.
You too.
The OHIO podcast is brought to you by Mastermind. Mastermind specializes in 360-degree high-definition mobile video mapping, GIS integration, and traffic safety studies. Mastermind cares about traffic safety and keeping you safe on the roadway. Visit Mastermind at onlinemastermind.com. And we want to thank JR for joining us to preview the Ohio State-Michigan game this Sunday. Let's dive into the current standings in the Big Ten so that we can prepare ourselves for that as well. So, in the Big Ten currently, Michigan is on top. They have an 11-2 record in the conference. Purdue is 11-3, a half a game back. Michigan does hold the tiebreaker over Purdue. Michigan State is a game back at 10-3, and 2 games back is Wisconsin at 9-4. Maryland and UCLA are next at 9-5, Illinois at 9-6, and then you have Ohio State at 7-7. So 15-10 overall, by the way. If you were to ask me how many teams in the Big Ten will currently make the big dance, I would say easily Michigan, Purdue, Michigan State, Wisconsin, Maryland, UCLA, and Illinois are in. That would be 7. I think Ohio State, Nebraska, and Oregon are next, and that would be 10. After that, I think you're going to be a little hard-pressed to give me USC, who's 14-10 overall, 6-7 in the Big Ten. Indiana, 15-10 overall, 6-8 in the Big Ten. Iowa, 14-10 overall, 5-8 in the Big Ten. Those 3 are kind of on the bubble, and they need to make a run if they're going to get into the big dance. So currently, Ohio State, I think, is safe, like we've said, and this is a big one. If you can go into Michigan and you can win, or you can go into the game Sunday against Michigan at home, and you can win that basketball game, I think you've probably stamped your ticket to go to the NCAA tournament, as long as you win out the games that you should win. So that is of course the idea for this one, guys. That's what everybody is talking about. Looking at Ohio State's remaining schedule for the remainder of the season. Of course, like we said, they've got the big one this Sunday, 1 o'clock Eastern against the Wolverines. So 1 o'clock this Sunday. They're expecting a huge crowd at the Shot, a rowdy crowd. So if you don't have your tickets and you're thinking about going, you better gobble them up now. That ticket is getting a little bit more expensive every day. Then they host the final of the 3-game homestand against Northwestern on Thursday at 6:30. Then they go out west for their West Coast trip. They've got a Sunday affair at UCLA on February 23rd, and then a Wednesday game against USC on February 26th. And then they're back home for senior night against Nebraska. That would be March 4th at 9 p.m. And then they go to Bloomington to finish the season at Indiana, 3:45 on that one. So if we're looking at these last 6 games, Michigan, Northwestern, UCLA, USC, Nebraska, and Indiana. You got to win at least 3 of them, I think. That would give you a 10-10 record in the Big Ten. I like to think that they can at least go 4-2 here. Um, I think it's a hard ask to say you win both of them out west against UCLA and SC. You get Michigan, Northwestern, Nebraska at home. You should probably win at least Nebraska, Northwestern at home. Nebraska will be a revenge game, by the way, and so will the final game of the year at Indiana. That's a game they lost at home that they should have won. So they'll need to win that one. I think they can win that one. Indiana seems to be a team that's struggling more now than they were when they played us the first time. But the big ones this Sunday, number 20 ranked Michigan coming into the shot. And as JR said, this is going to be an interesting game. This is a game the Buckeyes absolutely can win. The experts will say it's probably going to go the way of the Wolverines, but Ohio State had that big come from behind win against Maryland. They've beaten Purdue this year. Those are 2 teams that are ahead of them in the rankings and standings that they've defeated already. So who knows? This might be a big win. They shoot the basketball against Michigan like they did against Washington. They're going to win this basketball game. They absolutely can and probably should. They shoot that well. All right, guys. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this. If you're listening on the audio version, please consider giving us a 5-star review. Enjoy the game this Sunday, everybody. Jump on the train if you haven't already. Football's over. I know we're still basking in the glow of a national championship, all you Buckeye football fans, but the basketball team and Jake Diebler deserve our acknowledgement as fans that they do exist, and they are actually having a really good season, fighting back, fighting for a chance to get in the NCAA tournament, something that didn't happen under Chris Holtmann last year or the year before, I believe. And so it's time for this basketball team to take that step forward. Jake is helping them do that. And who knows, man? Big win Sunday. And they're probably heading that way, guys. Again, thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for listening. Until next time, be kind to one another. I owe someone's OH. Sing Carmen Ohio with all your heart. You all know what to do. Go Bucks.